When Purpose Knocks, a Stranger's Memoirs. The rain was gushing from the heavens. It was a long, tiresome day, lacking purpose and resolve. Blue skies seemingly always turning grey. His body weak yet strong and toned. Tiresome days of lifting and moving, barely making ends meet, selling off things he owned. He was set in the path he ended up choosing, close to minimum wage for working in harsh conditions. His body plush with muscle but scarred, his skull marked with subtle deformity, his hip sometimes victim to pain enormously. As a young child, he was graced by God with the gift to walk. When the car hit him, he should have been lying in chalk. The doctor said it was a 1 in 3 miracle that the car hit at a precise angle, that his hips were not completely mangled. So, the rain was gushing from the heavens. It was a long and tiresome day. After working, he set off home into the dark night. That is when his purpose came to light. He, in the moonlight, was already feeling somber and low. Suddenly, his eyes flutter over yonder though. He could see a small young girl trailing behind her mother in the road. The crosswalk was one of tall iron. The driver could see nothing. No excuse though for the speed he was driving through the crossing. There was no time to think, no time to choose. This car was going to leave much more than a nasty bruise. The young teen locked his sight, charged into the road in the dead of night, lifted the girl into his bosom and leaped from the road. The car wing mirror smacked his back and a mighty roar came from his chest. He set the young girl down by her mother, asked her to check she was okay, and then the mother cried and said, "Thank you so much." The young teen, sensitive to having found his purpose but pointless work nights, sensitive to the pain and trouble he had experienced since his brush with a car in childhood, began to sob. He did not want the family to see him in tears. He walked away with a sense of pride, that sense that in that day-to-day grind had died, working for nothing, his life going nowhere, so that he could be somewhere to help spare a child a life of pain that he had had and does endure, lest even death or paralysis was not the fortune for that sweet young child. The teen sat down on the bench side and wailed. The trauma of what he had endured, the years of headaches, the pains when walking, all surmounted upon him. Saving a life is something that is rather overwhelming, especially when the brush with death is so close and felt before. The trauma rocked him to the core. He stumbled home and sat with a friend, told the story and sobbed in his arms. His friend said, "I remember when you were hit," and sobbed too, just a little bit. He gave him some pain relief for his hip, and they smiled and said, "Well done, my old crip." You see, purpose and meaning doesn't come from achieving goals and targets of power, money and wealth. You can be aligned with your meaning and purpose simply by venturing through life and waiting patiently for the night when you get the chance to be brave and do something good. Nay, does it have to be something that stops the letting of blood? It can be as simple as being the shoulder for someone to cry upon, and doing what you should. One thing to take away from this story, and perhaps there are a few, is that in adversity and a humble ethic, eventually you will find your purpose too, for greater things await us. Thanks for listening.